Since starting this challenge, building a video game collection without spending any money out of pocket, I've managed to amass a fairly sizable Xbox 360 collection. I also have a Mega Drive collection that I'm proud of. My PlayStation 4 collection is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. I've got a lot of decent games in there, nothing too expensive. If you know me, you know that I don't like to really spend much money on one individual game. Like, I will spend retail price on a game if I absolutely have to, but I do go out of my way to try and buy the cheaper games, because I find that there's a lot of value to be had, a lot of enjoyment to be had in the cheaper games. I don't need to own the really expensive games on each platform to call myself a collector or to find enjoyment through collecting. And I feel like I've proved that time and time again, and it does come down to personal preference, of course. If you're the type of collector who needs to go out and spend £100 on a game to feel like you've got a gem in your collection, then you do you. If you can afford to do it, then why not? But me personally, I don't need to do that. I can go and spend £5 in CEX, pick up 5 different games and find enjoyment through every single one of them. And I'm going to kind of do that today. But first, I had to go to the charity shops because, as you know, or as you may know at least, I need to make money in this series in order to make the game collection free. Now, if you haven't seen the last episode in this series, it was a Black Friday edition, and I managed to pick up some pretty decent stuff. Well, I thought was pretty decent stuff anyway. Star Trek, Stray, and a much needed PlayStation 5 controller, which set us back around £78, I think, and it put us minus £36 for the series, so I need to make some of that back. Now, before we go on, this was all recorded before Black Friday. So I didn't know I was about to spend £78. Therefore, I was actually playing with profit at this point. So I don't make all that money back. I do go over again. It's going to leave us massively in the hole, which means we are definitely going to need to be making money in the next episode, or come the end of the year, we are not going to have that negative even balance that I want. So charity shops, and this is the first charity shop on the list. This is one that tends to sell a lot of like technology, and I have been not toying with the idea, but it was mentioned to me a few times that maybe I need to branch out from just video games. Buying and selling video games and DVDs and things is all well and good, but look, you're not doing that in real life, you're just doing this for the series. So shouldn't you try and emulate what someone could do in real life? You could buy that microwave or that iron, for example, and flip them. I mean, maybe I could, I don't know how much they are, but you know what I mean? I can find things that I could flip that aren't video game related. Now, I am going to try and stick to video games and sort of technology like DVDs and things as much as I possibly can, because it does kind of relate to video games. However, going forward, and we'll talk more about this in the next episode, but going forward, I am going to branch out just a little bit. Not all the time, but every now and again, I'll see something, for example, in here. There could have been a football shirt or whatever, a pair of trainers, some football boots or something, that I could have flipped for a profit, but I'm not including them in the series. There's no reason why I shouldn't be doing that. Did find some video games here. Unfortunately, they did want just a little bit too much, and I decided to leave every single one that I found. But it's always worth noting that if you find a Wii game, especially Wii Fit, look inside it. The amount of times you will find Wii Sports, Mario Kart or something like that, and of course they don't know this. They've just chucked it out, they haven't even checked it, and they'll just sell it for whatever the asking price was. I think it was like £1, and then you could get like Wii Sports for £1, which is pretty good. Like I said, unfortunately nothing in there at that point. Don't see these too often. HD DVD, yes, I was one of those people who went for HD DVD over Blu-ray and regretted it almost instantly. They had Metro 2033 for £2, which, as you may or may not see later on, is overpriced. Sealed Mamma Mia box set. Now this is the type of thing I'll be looking at. We have bought some DVD box sets in the series in the past, but I may look to introduce more of those type of things. £3 for Brain Training. So last charity shop of the day, and this is where I actually picked something up worth buying. Now, it's not going to make me a tremendous amount of money. In fact, it's not going to make me much money at all, but it is a Steelbook on the PlayStation 3 for just £1. It is The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, not a game I've ever played. Not ashamed to admit that I've never played it either. I suppose I might give it a go before I list it, but a couple of games in here, Sims 2, which is, it's got a little bit of value to it, Mercenaries 2 as well, which I may or may not already own, I can't remember. And then the one that made me laugh was Oblivion Classics Edition, but I looked at the price of this, £6. That's over double what CEX charge, but there we are, Narnia. So, here it is. Still has the price on it. I've had this for a long while now and I still haven't listed it, so I really need to get it listed. But I had a little look in store to see if this was selling, and luckily for me it was. And it goes for around £6 or £7, which is not a massive amount of money when you look at it from I got to take fees out of it, I paid £1 for it in the first place. How much money am I realistically going to make from this? Well, the steelbook itself, not in the best of conditions. It does have some wear and tear. However, on the inside of it, the manual has never been opened. That is brand spanking new, and the disc doesn't look like it's been played either. So to me, it looks like someone bought this and just kept it on display and then maybe chucked it in a box. It was in a box for ages and then it eventually got donated to a charity shop. But it is in very good condition on the inside. That isn't what people buy steelbooks for, granted, but I'm hoping that I can make around £4 or £5 profit from this after fees and things. So it's not massive, but when you are minus £36, you need to take it wherever you possibly can. And I'm hoping I'll be able to take some profit here. So we're going to add, I'm going to say £4. I'm going to be very conservative. If I can sell it for 6 or 7, I will make more. Not going to add it on, going to be conservative. And I'm going to say I'm going to make a £4 profit. Yes, which means it leaves us with minus £32. Fantastic. We still got a long way to go, and I'm going to set myself back considerably now because we are going to take a trip into CEX. Before I do that though, a very badly filmed trip into my local pawn shop, who often swap things around in these glass cabinets. And look at this, they've got some decent retro stuff going on. Excuse the finger in the way there because I'm not very good at doing this apparently, but they do have Sonic 3D on the Mega Drive in the background there. I think it's just a little bit too much. I don't know if I get it on camera, but I think they want around 18 to 20 quid for that, which was just too much. The games in this store are just dwindling. They had loads. Where that guitar is, oh look, another Metro. Where that guitar is on the right hand side used to be another shelf full of games. They've now condensed it down into this, and to be honest, they could probably condense it down even more. So I am a little bit worried that they will get rid of games altogether. I suppose it comes down to the amount of people who are selling them games, and if they don't have many, then obviously they can't display more because they don't have them. It makes sense. But it is a little bit depressing because they used to have a really nice selection of 360, PS3 and even Mega Drive games in here as well, but it's getting less and less, so one less place I can go to. And I've spoken about this in other videos, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but it just goes to show the options on the high street are just dwindling, right? So that pawn shop used to thrive when it comes to video games. You used to go in there, not all the time, but fairly regularly and pick up some decent games, some cheaper games on the 360 and stuff. It's just the selection now. It's just not there. They're not getting as many games in, obviously, because they've had to condense the bay down. They do have consoles and things in the glass, and they do get some retro stuff in. But from me, the consumer who wants to shop around a little bit, it's CEX or go online. That's sad, and I'm not happy about it. But with that being said, let's go to CEX. So this is footage from the tour that I did the other day, and I actually spent some money. Now, I've got the games in front of me, so how much did I spend? For, I don't know, maybe just over 10 quid. So I suppose you could say that this is like a spending the profit episode. We don't have the profit, so we are spending what we don't have, which is very much the way the world is at the moment. So Cars 2 is not a game I picked up. However, I'm not against it, to be honest. I had a lot of fun the other day when I was recording the LGS, the Ask Me Anything series that I do every now and again. I decided to record Heroes Over Europe, which is a World War II sort of, I don't know, aerial battle type game, right? And I had a lot of fun playing that game. I chucked it in. I was only meant to play it for an hour. 2.5 hours later, much like Medal of Honor, I'm still playing, and I'm really enjoying myself. It did get a little bit repetitive, but at the same time, I did really enjoy myself. And I thought the more games I have on the 360, on any platform really, but the 360 at the moment, the more games I have on the shelf in front of me, the more option I have, the more fun I'm going to have. So I'm looking at these games and I'm thinking, just because I don't fancy playing them right this second doesn't mean I won't fancy playing them in a day or two. And one game that I've picked up a lot in this video alone is Metro 2033. I've picked this up twice in 2 different shops. Considering one of them isn't a video game store, they had it there in a charity shop, of course. It was a little bit too expensive there. They had it in Regenerate, which I went to after CEX, which was cheaper than CEX, but I spent £1.50 on it. It is complete, and I've never played it. I've never played any Metro game, so I thought, why not start with what I believe is the first one. Please tell me this is the first one. Like, it matters, right? I don't really care. But I'm pretty sure this is the first one. Let me know if you've played Metro, any of the Metros, but this one specifically, of course, 2033. Is it any good? What's it about? And do you think I'm going to enjoy it? Because I've got no idea. I did say before I went away that I wanted to focus a little bit more on the Xbox One side of things, and I'm definitely going to do that. I think the rest of December is probably going to be spent trying to claw back the money that I'm just whittling away right here, because I mean, realistically in life, as I pick up Metro 2033, realistically in life you should never spend what you don't have, and I'm not necessarily an advocate of that, because I'm very much I could be dead tomorrow kind of person. So if I've got it, I'm going to spend it. Now in this situation I don't have it and I'm still spending it. So for the rest of December, after this episode, I'm definitely going to have to go out of my way to try and recoup this money, get us into a profit, and then we can focus on trying to get an Xbox One X or a Series S or X. Really want to start collecting for the Xbox One, really want to start playing some of those games, definitely want to get on Game Pass as well. There's quite a few games on there that I really want. That brings me to my next game. Fucking hell, it's 3 discs. And it's another cheapie. To be fair, they're all kind of cheapies. This is Rage. Now, this is a game that I remember playing very briefly when it came out. Can't say I enjoyed it. It was something to do with the aim, I think. It was so... I don't know, I'm going off memory, right? So I might be completely wrong. I think you either can't aim or you don't need to aim. I think it's such a fast-paced game that aiming doesn't make any sense. And of course, you play Call of Duty, for example, nearly every time you fire that gun, you are aiming down the sights. And for some reason, off the top of my head, I remember thinking you can't aim in this or it's pointless aiming, and it kind of threw me off, and that's genuinely one of the only reasons why I didn't play it further. I've got 2 more games to pick up, and they are still 360 games. However, I do have something to trade in as well, and I do pick up something besides 360 games, so stay tuned for that. But I am going to have another little flick through, and I am going to talk more about those Xbox One games. So, like I mentioned, we need to get back into the profit. However, when we do that, I am going to start looking into what console I can realistically afford. It depends how much profit I can make, because like I said, I would really love to get my hands on a Series X so we can really start buying those Xbox One Series X games. And of course, it will be backwards compatible with Xbox One games, so I can buy whatever the hell I want. However, I would very much like to buy a One X at some point, which will allow me to play Xbox 360 games like backwards compatible wise, right? That's not at the forefront of what I want to do right now, so if I find one and it's cheap and I can maybe try and work it in, I will. However, I think the next thing I'm going to do after we get into a profit here is going to be working towards that Series X. The S is something that I really want, but it will literally be just a Game Pass machine. So I'm going to see if I can maybe pick one of those up cheap on Facebook or something. Definitely something I can see happening. But with that being said, that's the plan going forward. For right now, though, let me show you what else I picked up. So I had a question recently, I think it was in the LGS. What is the hardest game you've ever 1,000 pointed? And I think my answer was Tekken 6. In fact, I know my answer was Tekken 6. The second to last boss in Tekken 6, absolute nightmare. So you're thinking, oh, you bought Tekken 6. No, I already owned that, so that's not the game. So what am I talking about? Sniper Ghost Warrior is a game that I didn't 1000 point, but it is one of the most frustrating games I have ever played. Why? Because the AI can shoot around rocks, and that in itself should be enough of a reason not to play this game. But not only that, they can't just shoot around rocks. They're not like Angelina Jolie in Wanted. They don't just do that. They know where you are at all times, regardless of how camoed you are, how far back you are. It doesn't make a difference. They know you're there, and they can bend bullets. I'd like to go back with fresh eyes and just see if it is as bad as I remember it being. It's not a bad game necessarily, but it's just in the way that they could see you wherever you were and bend bullets around rocks and things. Really, really frustrated. If you've played that, did you ever experience that type of thing? So you may have seen me pick this up in the footage that you've seen, and then I put it back down. This is the triple pack, Trials HD, Limbo, and Splosion Man. Never played Splosion Man. No idea what that is. It doesn't look... I don't know, you can't really tell what it is, to be honest, on the back. This was £6, and Trials HD, I loved that game when it came out. Now, of course, they've released many, many more since then, and, you know, they have their charm to them, but Trials HD, the original, going back to basics, it's not overly complicated, but it is still a very fun yet frustrating game, because a lot of the courses can be very, very tricky. Limbo, if you've never played it, is a phenomenal side-scrolling game. Very, very, very nice art style in that. Really, really enjoyed it when I played it originally. And like I said, Splosion Man, I've never played, and I know absolutely nothing about. If you've played that, let me know what you think of it. But I thought £6 for that triple pack, it kind of has to be done. I mentioned this a little while ago, but just to re-jog your memories, because I am going to go into CEX right this second and trade something in. I got a copy of GTA 5 on the Xbox One via a bundle not that long ago. So I bought a 1S, I think it was a Gears console, and the person who sold it to me said, oh, there's a game with it as well, it's GTA, but it doesn't have a case. Okay, fine, might sell it disc only for a $5 or something, I thought to myself. But then as I was going home, I thought, hang on a minute, I have a case for GTA because I bought it in a boot sale not that long ago. Someone in a boot sale was selling it for £1 and it had the 360 game in it, but it was the Xbox One case. It was a very confusing situation. However, I bought it for £1 and I knew it would come in handy at some point. Here we are, this is the point. So I found that case. There it is. Put the game that I got in that Xbox One Facebook deal in it and took it into CEX and got a whopping £8 in credit. Had this been on the PlayStation 4, it would have been £10 in credit, and had it been on the PS5, which we have had at one point, of course, it would have been £18 in credit, only £3 on the Xbox 360 and a whopping £1.20 on the PlayStation 3. But yeah, I got £8 in credit for it, which is obviously more than I paid, which is nice. Now, that may go up. Okay, so the GTA 6 trailer has just come out. It looks absolutely phenomenal from what we've seen. The motion capture on that thing looks incredible. The density in the cities looks insane. I could go on about it for quite a while, but I won't. But what tends to happen when a new film comes out or a new game comes out, the old one tends to spike in price ever so slightly as well. And it's because people are hyped to go and play GTA 6. So a lot of people who gave up on GTA 5 a long time ago will be like, you know what, I really fancy my fix of GTA because the new one's not out till 2025. That's going to seem like a long, long time to a lot of people. So they'll go to CEX and they'll start buying up copies of GTA 5. That means the trade price will go up because CEX will want to get more in, even though they probably have hundreds and thousands already. But yeah, I ran the risk and I traded it in knowing that this trailer was coming out. But anyway, I went in to CEX, had a little look around, and let's just have a little look to see if there's anything there for £8 that we can buy, shall we? I was mainly looking at the PlayStation 5 section, and for £8 you're not going to be able to get an awful lot, of course, but there were definitely some options there for £8, and I say for 8. I would happily have gone a little bit over. So Roller Coaster Tycoon, for example, had I not owned that digitally, I may have bought that for 12. But had a little look around. NHL 23, by the way, the older one, for £30 is a lot of money to spend, especially when you consider that I saw this in Target in the US for $20, which is obviously less than 30 quid by some margin. But not only that, it's actually on Game Pass. I had a little look yesterday at what was on Game Pass, and yet you can play NHL 23 on Game Pass. So I really need to get myself an Xbox so I can partake in some games. Destroy All Humans 2, which is a game that I've never played, but for £12 it did kind of interest me. I wouldn't mind picking up the new Dead Island, but not for 30 something. This has gone down a little bit more since I picked this up. Callisto Protocol is a game that's been recommended to me quite a few times, and I was very, very tempted to buy it. But luckily I didn't, because now it's 8, I think. It was 10 at the time. Had a little look at the Switch section, knowing full well that I wouldn't find anything. I just saw Ori there, actually, which I don't end up picking up and looking at. And Ori is a game that I went to... I can't remember what CEX it was. I think it might have been Gloucester. Didn't go there specifically for it, but I went into the Gloucester CEX I looked online that they had the Ori collection, like 2 games. Went in there with credit, wanted to buy it, picked it up off the shelf, reprinted cover. Honestly, never been so annoyed at CEX. Well, maybe not never, but I was so annoyed at CEX at that moment in time. Anyway, with that being said, what game did I buy? It was a GTA clone of such. It was the game that put this company out of business, Saints Row. I haven't played this. In fact, I haven't actually played a Saints Row game since the 3rd one, and I don't think I played that much. I have that on the 360, actually. Picked that up a little while ago, but this looks interesting, to say the least. Now, I say a GTA clone. It originally came out as a GTA clone. I remember playing the original Saints Row and Saints Row 2, and they were essentially just a little bit over the top, but they were basically just GTA clones. A lot of fun to be had on those games, those first 2 especially, and then they kind of went more into the Crackdown region of things, where things were just over the top and wild. But for 8 quid, for a PlayStation 5 game to be £8, and to be a game that everybody recognises, Saints Row, everybody knows what it is, right? So I thought, like for like, swap in a game that I've played a million times over, that I'm not that bothered by, for a game that I've never played, that I would happily sit down and give a good bash and see how I feel about it. Now, like I said, I think it did put the people who made it out of business. It just didn't do particularly well, and that was the end of it for them. But I'm more than happy to pick that up for 8 quid and to have a little go. Now, if Callisto Protocol was £8 at the time, there is a very strong chance I would have picked that up. I knew it was £10 in a Black Friday sale on Amazon. I went there before Black Friday, but during the Black Friday week, if you will, it was like they just started the Black Friday week, so things had started to get reduced on Amazon. So I knew I could pick up Saints Row even, but I knew I could pick up that other game for a tenner. So I thought, well, if I could buy it £10 brand new, why would I buy it second hand? Let me just save £2, pick up Saints Row, use credit anyway, right? So that's my haul for today's video, but it does leave us even further in a deficit. Now, of course, we have clawed it back with Narnia, the Steelbook, which is behind me somewhere. We used some credit for Saints Row. We used a little bit of cash for those Xbox games. In the next episode, I'm going to have to go and find something to flip. I was going to go through all of the Facebook deals I have messaged about, have seen, and some of the ridiculous prices people have been asking, but I think I'm going to show you that in the next episode, and I'll also show you what I've picked up to flip, providing, of course, I can find something. If you want to check out another video from me where I did find something to flip, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.